Hi, everybody. It is exactly, well, almost exactly 7 o'clock. And being a former NBC broadcaster, I like to do things right on time. And I know how valuable your time is, so I want to get through everything very quickly here for you. So I thought I would start by showing you what will kind of be the home page for our crowdfunding community as we teach you about crowdfunding, and I will be going through this website and all of the key points on it. One of the keys is that if you ever need a link to one of our Google Hangouts, you'll be able to find it right here. Hi, everybody. And then I have to update it. I think that was the delay there. Sorry about that. I have to update it. So as we do a new Hangout, I'll put a new link there. But that's kind of just keep that in the back of your mind. So I want to point out a couple of things. One is that, and two is our newsletter. And the newsletter is the Crowdfunding Minute. I want to show that to you, which is right here, because this is how you're going to be able to stay in touch and stay current, because crowdfunding is always changing. So I just wanted to kind of get you grounded in a couple of things, tell you a little bit more about our national radio shows, and you know, kind of about who we are and how we want to work and how we want to be able to work with you. So here I am. I'm Mike Hayes, and this is our inaugural Google Hangout. We've been learning a lot of things very quickly, because crowdfunding is really about digital networking, where you tell people who you are, what you have, what you need, what you will give them for their support, or what you will do for their support, and what you will do with the funding that you receive if they are willing to support you. Now, we've had one in-person meeting, but of course the fact that crowdfunding is digital networking, we thought, well, why not network with each other digitally and teach crowdfunding digitally, because it's so much easier to do. And one of the things that I really am very excited about with this new Google Hangout technology and a new app that they have is you can see right over here on my right two different links. Now, please don't click on those now during the meeting, but these are a vitally important part of the new technology. And you know, because your time is very important, all of our time is very important. Everybody's pretty much time challenged today, and I'm no exception. So I respect your time, and this way, now think about what I can do with this new technology to really speed up your time. Let me tell you a quick joke from my dad, who used to tell us kids that when he ran track in high school, that he won an award for running the hour in just 30 minutes. So that was his big joke for us kids. And what we can do with this new technology is do quick summaries of some of the things that are here, and it's opposite for me. So what I'm seeing over here, you're seeing over here, so I'll point over this way here for you. But I can summarize what's there, and so you can get right to the good stuff that's important to you quickly, so that you don't have to go through, because I've sat in Hangouts that lasted for hours and hours because they really weren't as organized as they could have been. Well, being a really organized things for you to get through the information very quickly. So I'm going to get back to this because and I'll demo this in a bit, but what I want to do is tell you that not only is it time saving, but this is the way that we're going to be able to do pitch competitions, kind of like pitch tanks or shark tanks on air, where I know the top 200 product distributors, because I've been networking with them at trade shows for 25 years. These are people who buy and sell multiple billions of dollars worth of products every year, and they do have a lot to do with crowdfunding, because they look at the crowdfunding portals looking for the hot products. And having done hundreds of crowdfunding success interviews, I can tell you that the thing that really can separate a crowd success from a mega success is when a big distributor comes in and pre-purchases product volume and wholesale to be able to help bring the crowdfunding campaign, so they get to distribute the product. So there's so many different things we can do. We can save you time, we can show you resources, we can talk about things, and but this is our inaugural hangout, so if something doesn't go perfectly, for example, there's actually a little fly floating around the studio tonight, and so those are things that are going to happen. But we really want to drill down into Google Hangouts. It's great technology, and there's some really cool things that we can do with it for you. So the other thing I want to do is to share this screen with you and kind of cover this for you, because this will be tonight's kind of outline for me to really get down to the details of crowdfunding. So I would strongly recommend, while you're here or tonight, to click here and launch your crowdfunding campaign. Now, what that really means, don't worry, you're not going to launch a campaign, but it's going to help you to be prepared to launch. You're going to be able to sign up and subscribe for the Crowdfunding Minute newsletter. So I understand and I value your time. Then the next thing is this is where you'll always have the community be able to get together with our Hangouts, and you can always join us on Startups in Action and Crowd Success TV at that link. Now, I was I have to, I guess, shine my own fingernails here and tell you that I was just selected by Crowdfund Beat as one of the top 100 professionals and thought leaders of crowdfunding. Here I am as a featured speaker at KickerCon, and right above me there is Kevin Harrington of ABC TV's Shark Tank show. He was one of the first guests, or judges, I should say, in the show. And I've known Kevin for about 25 years. So he's a distributor of products, and so one of the things that office is as a media mentor, because the key to crowdfunding success is pretty simple. It's get the word out. It's have a good pitch. You have to have people that are super interested in what you have to part with their money because they want it. But if they don't know about it, it's not going to do you any good. So there's a lot of different ways that we're going to talk about to help you to get the word out about crowdfunding. And we're going to be spotlighting different entrepreneurs in our shows that are part of our community. So, you know, if you want to join our community, you know, you can do that by clicking here to receive our newsletter. Stay in touch with us in the Hangouts, and this is going to be a vital part of getting the promotion, the resources that we have available, and then we call it Startups in Action because we want to talk about what activities entrepreneurs are doing today in the digital economy. And I've learned that crowdfunding is the new business plan for the digital age. So in addition to our shows running on hundreds of broadcast AM radio stations around the country, our Startups in Action shows also run along with our Crowd Success Story TV shows on Daily Motion, on Crowdfund Beat, on crowdsourcing.org, on the crowdfundingnetwork.com, and more. So that will kind of give you a second bite at the apple. So as you're doing interesting activities, then we want to report on those on our reality TV series. So, and that's, authors in action, inventors in action, crowdfunders in action, media moguls in action, so we can stay current with the top people in the industry. So now I want to kind of go through some of the key points and key components of crowdfunding. Number one is the pitch. Now, if you think about this for a second, people don't buy products or even pre-purchase products in crowdfunding. Rather, they pre-purchase stories about products. The product's not actually there. A TV commercial, you see a TV commercial, you make the purchase, the product's not actually there. What's there? A story about the product. Then the product arrives, sometimes weeks later after the transaction has already occurred. So that's true in crowdfunding as well. And the reason I call it story selling is that's how people buy. They like to hear your story. And it's got to be short and sweet. And that's why we think of 60-second stories in 60 seconds, because we're in the digital age, folks, and there's no shortage of information, and everybody is so busy that the average attention span I read recently was less than about 3 seconds. So you got to get people's attention very, very quickly, and that's one thing we're very good at. In fact, if you want me to tell you the story about how I took one client from zero in sales after he had failed not once but twice trying to market his product, but simply by changing the words of his sales pitch, I was able to turn that campaign around and took it to $200 million in sales of the same product simply by describing it in a different way in the pitch that we used for the product on TV. So I can tell you that story maybe in a future show when we have a little bit more time, but story selling is very, very important. And then as we go down, each one of these key points has a short supporting video right underneath. So right here on the site, you can, let me get this going here. Let's see. Okay, see if I can scroll down here a little better, like this. Is that number one? Yep, there it is. So there's the video on story selling. So you can come back, and if that's not of interest, fine. I just want to point out the different things are interesting to different people, and then you want to tell your story in different ways for different groups. So you don't tell your parents about your crowdfunding campaign in the same way you talk to journalists or distributors. So then you have your story about your offer, and then you want to turn that into a press release, and that is a text description of your story for journalists, bloggers, and producers. Because if you don't already have a big online following in crowdfunding, in other words, if you don't have a crowd of followers already, then what do you need to do? You need to reach out to people who do have a big crowd of followers who would be interested in your story. And these are journalists. Let's say it's the New York Times. Well, a writer for the New York Times has a very big crowd. And let's say you have some sort of a children's products. Well, then you can reach out to the mommy bloggers. Or let's say you've got a sports product. You could reach out to the producers of sports TV or radio shows. So using traditional media and social media outreach to get that story out there, because you've got to spread the word about your campaign. Nobody's going to support you if they don't know about you. And with crowdfunding portals, you need to raise the first 30% of your financial goal 100% through your own efforts. So that's why it's very, very important to be able to get the word out about what you're doing and what you're up to. And here's a little story. You can come back. And again, I want to save you time, so we're not going to go through these right now. I just available so you can review these, whenever you'd like to, and learn more about the community, learn more about crowdfunding at your own pace. You could watch these, come back and watch these at 2 o'clock in the morning if you want. So then you have a video news release production. Now, the campaigns that use video raise 114% more money than those that don't. So telling your story on video is vitally important, obviously, to increase your odds not only of achieving success but of maximizing your crowdfunding success. So a video news release, if you search video news release online, you're going to find there are companies out there charging hundreds of dollars or even thousands of dollars for a video news release, but there are very inexpensive ways. There are companies that will produce them for $100. And so you want to be able to get your story out there and talk to journalists in the language they are used to, being talked to through press releases and through professional publicists. So, it's very important that you communicate with different groups in different ways and make sure that you get your story out. Because the other thing is pre-crowdfunding preparation, folks, is just vitally important. I can't tell you how important it is. The last thing you want to do is start a campaign cold, because from then on you are swimming upstream. It's one of the most embarrassing and difficult things to do. As one crowdfunding campaigner said to me, it looks like even your mother doesn't love you. So you don't want to do a big public failure or a belly flop in front of everybody. Pretty embarrassing. It can actually hurt the brand, and there's absolutely no reason to do that. So what you want to do is you want to do crowdfunding preparation and build up excitement about your campaign before you actually launch the campaign. So you can actually do the exact same components and steps of a crowdfunding campaign, but using a Facebook page or a landing page or whatever you need to do to kind of say, hey, I'm getting ready for a crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter or Indiegogo or RocketHub or any one of the crowdfunding portals, and I'm going to be doing it in 30 days or 45 days or 60 days. So anything you can do to help me spread the word or support me financially or prime the pump to help me hire the help I need to get the word out there. So there's a lot of tips and tricks that we're going to be able to tell you about. And nobody wants to, there's so much to learn about crowdfunding, for one thing, even domestically, and that's just rewards-based crowdfunding. That's not even about equity crowdfunding or about global crowdfunding. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that as much as 50% of the monies can come into a crowdfunding campaign from outside the country. So there's going to help you learn it like out of a drinking fountain, one sip at a time, 60 seconds, at a time. Let it really sink in, and so that it really makes sense to you. Now, landing pages in pre-crowdfunding preparation is, like I say, one of the big keys to success. So you can learn more about that here on this little video, and then in an ongoing basis in our the crowdfunding minute newsletters. And then we're going to tell you more about Crowd Success TV, because as what we care about is like a reality show, like The Biggest Loser, let's say, where they focus, they help, they have coaches helping people lose weight, and then they focus on the activities of the people as they're losing weight, or The Great Escape. They focus on the actions that people are taking, and that's what we want to do in our Crowd Success TV show. So the more interesting the activities that you are doing with your campaign, the more exposure we will be able to give you, and the more media and the more networking. And so that's why we want to build the community. We want to invite you to be a part of it. And now this is where it really gets interesting, because I've spent the last for everybody, I should say, because if you don't have a big following, you can still achieve crowdfunding success if you have a good story, good product, good offer. I have spent the last 3.5 years interviewing crowdfunding campaigners across all portals around the world, and I believe that I've done more interviews than anybody on the planet Earth because of our national radio shows. So I've had access to them and also to the resources. So when crowdfunding campaigners tell me how they achieve success, and then I always ask them, well, which journalist brought the most money into your campaign? How did you reach them? What was your story about? So I really interrogated them to learn how to break it down and codify crowd success into steps, and I looked for the resources. Now, this is a very important resource. Since 50% of income can come into a crowdfunding campaign from outside of, let's say, the United States, well, if you could distribute your press release globally, think how important that would be. Now, imagine unlimited global press release distribution. There are many press release distribution firms out there who charge $300, $400, $500 per press release distribution. So to be able to distribute multiple press releases about you, your company, your campaign is very, very important. And people think, well, why would I keep going back to the same journalist with the same story? Well, you don't. So you can change the headline, you can take a different twist on your story, and you can use different videos in the press releases. And think about it. Now, the average person needs to hear a message 8 to 10 times over and over until it really sinks in. That's why, you know, advertisers keep running the same commercial over and over and over. Well, think about it. Journalists are people too. And so, and with the news cycle, they could be busy that day that they receive your press release, or something happens with the war in the Mideast, or wars in the Mideast, or in any news thing that can happen, whatever, it gets their attention. So they're not going to go back and relook at old press releases. It's news. So you want to keep hitting them over and over and over. But at $350 a crack, obviously you can't do that, right? Of course not. That'd be ridiculous. So but if you can do it with unlimited press release distribution. Now, let me tell you about one of our partners, because they know about my background, 25 years in direct response sales, that I know how to position things properly. And so that if a crowdfunding campaigner is working with me to help them develop their story and their video news release and distribute it, they will actually allow the use of their global press release distribution on a contingency basis. No upfront fee. That means no risk to you. And they will do this with certain campaigns that are willing to raise at least $25,000 or more. And if you don't do that, if you don't raise $25,000 using their service, you pay nothing for this press release distribution system. So, and then to be able to have unlimited global press release distribution. Let's say the New York Times sees it, doesn't write the story, but the London Times sees your story, and then they write the story, and then it gets the attention of the New York Times, and then they write it. Plus, when you are distributing press releases, journalists will often post them on their websites. Well, what does that do? That helps your SEO and your social media. So they also distribute to Facebook and Pinterest and all of the top social media sites. So really, if you don't have a large following, I'm telling you folks, this is the all-in-one best practices pitch distribution system I have seen in my 3.5 years of relentless research into how to help crowdfunding campaigners succeed. Think about it. It helps your social media outreach. It helps your publicity outreach. If one journalist, TechCrunch, or the Pebble glasses, and they raised about $10 million. The right journalist writes a story, almost anything can happen. The other benefit is that a lot of distributors also get press release distribution because they are always looking for the hot product. So that's a key, and you can learn more about that later on by coming back to startupsinaction.com and clicking on that video number 5. And then now these are produced by and for our Crowd Success TV show. So this is where we also have our pitch tank sessions. We want to create more public awareness about crowdfunding. Do for you? Well, the more awareness of crowdfunding, the more backers and the more supporters for your campaigns. So the way that we want to hook the public in is by doing stories on the hot perks and hot picks of crowdfunding. Why do people support campaigns? For a lot of reasons. Some of the smartest inventor brains are out there solving everyday problems with solutions that the big companies haven't thought of or don't have the interest in creating. Well, so if somebody has a problem and they see an inventor who may be like you, who has got an idea for a product that they want to create, and that backer sees your idea and thinks, gee, I'd love to have that product. I'm super interested in that product because that would solve this lifelong problem I've had, or a small daily problem, whatever it is. And so the more they can help you bring that to fruition, where you then get the money from the collective group, produce the product, and then you send it to them as a way of thanking them for their support and helping you to raise the money for your crowdfunding campaign. So in essence, that really is such a great thing to create new jobs, new factories. I mean, in my interviews, I've interviewed crowdfunding campaigners who were on unemployment, raised $150,000 and started a factory with assembly line with 10 employees and used crowdfunding on an ongoing basis, serialized crowdfunding. So I promised I would get through this as quickly as I can here. So here's a video about that, and then our Crowd Success TV shows. So this is the natural expansion of our long-running Startups in Action radio shows. Learn more here. And then retargeting. Now, one of the things that I like about, let's say, Indiegogo over Kickstarter, if you don't raise all of the money on Kickstarter, you don't get any of it. So if you were trying to raise $50,000 and you raise $45,000, you don't get anything. But with Indiegogo, but there's positives about all of them. So I'm just trying to point out some of the differences. if you do a campaign on Indiegogo, and let's say you want to raise $50,000 and you raise $5,000 to begin with, any monies that come in through PayPal, you can take immediately and hire some more professional help to help you get the rest of the way to the $50,000, because people who are early supporters, they want you to succeed, and especially your friends and family. The other thing we want to do and point out this importance to you about our community is very different for difficult for crowdfunding campaigners to explain what crowdfunding is when they go out to their friends and family. They don't know how to explain it. The people tell me, well, my family thought it was charity, or I was panhandling or something like that. It's not charity. It's the new business plan for the digital age, and that's one thing we do. We put crowdfunding campaigners up on a pedestal. We explain to them they're the heroes of the new digital economy. We put you in the most positive light possible to help you to explain what you're doing to, to your friends and family and your early supporters. So once you have some initial funding, you can do retargeting ads that if somebody sees your campaign, let's say they're not ready to donate, but all of a sudden every time they go online and search Google or anything else, there's a banner ad coming up for your crowdfunding campaign. And if they don't click on it, it doesn't cost you anything. There are companies that can do retargeting ads for as little as $50 a month to help you in your campaign. And again, ideally you can do that out of revenues generated, just like, I look at crowdfunding like running any other business. If you have a cash register, you take money in, what do? You take some of the receipts out to help you to promote and market your company to grow it. Now, like I said, I've interviewed your peers, your predecessors in crowdfunding over the last 3.5 years, and I will provide our crowdfunding documentary coaching so you can hear out of the words out of your peers' own mouths how they became successful, and that's very, very encouraging, motivating, and supportive. And then I also do ongoing email coaching to answer questions and help people to really understand what are the best practices and best resources in crowdfunding. Now, there's no purchase required to work with Startups in Action Radio or Crowd Success TV. You don't need any professional help. You know what you're doing? Great. We are more than happy to do stories on you. And then, now here I am as a moderator of another panel. This one was in Atlanta, Georgia, the Crowdfunding USA conference. So then here's kind of the story about us. I'll get through some of this quickly. And then if you keep going, if you want some of the documentary information, like Three Doodler, they raised almost $2 million in just 2 days. Then there's the gals from Stanford who started Goldie Blocks, and then they started a little crowdfunding campaign, raised money, produced the product. Then they won a contest and ended up with a Super Bowl ad. So you can go from anything startup all the way to a Super Bowl TV commercial that cost over $1 million. So these are some of the crowdfunding success stories that we promoted on our shows, and I've worked with my partners on the promotions, and there's so many things like these guys. They got picked up by Duck Dynasty when they created a shoe company and then created a camo version for Duck Dynasty. There's so many great stories here. I can go on and on. Game Golf, great little product. We promoted on Sports Byline USA, one of our national sports radio shows, this one right here. So, like I say, I want to save you time. we could sit here and spend the whole hour, but I'd rather you take the time and go through the website, review things. And now let me come back here live with you, and now I'll tell you a little bit more about these. Now over there on the side, you can click on Kickoff Caddy, a little video news release for a campaign in September. Well, what I can do, and I could have 20 or 10, 15, whatever, any number of links and products and video news stories or pitches from you, or that I produce or you produce, and then I want to promote this out to journalists. I want to promote this out to distributors. I want to promote this out to angel investors, to sharks. Now, the difference between sharks and distributors, just so you know, are distributors buy product wholesale to resell through TV shopping, catalogs, retail, whatever. Sharks are like the people on Shark Tank, where they can invest in the project, license it from you, or become a partner. So kind of a different story. But like I say, I work with about 200 of these people who collectively buy and sell hundreds of millions of dollars worth of products, actually multiple billions of dollars worth of products, like the TV shopping channels. And one of my products is in the home shame. So I've done a lot of marketing, media mentoring, direct response, publicity, coaching, small business help, and now we want to help you to learn about crowdfunding and really face the realities of it. It's not about just getting an idea and throwing up a campaign on one of the crowdfunding portals, because I can tell you a terrible thing happens when that is done, and that is nothing happens. So you don't want to have that happen. I hope you will join our community. And again, look at the newsletter. Join that. Join the community right there on Startups in Action. We're going to gather here. This is the first one. There's a lot of other things we can do as people move closer and closer into the circle of Startups in Action, where you can appear with me as a co-host on our a lot of different possibilities here, a lot of different options, and I want to thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for your support and our meetup. So I hope you'll join the community, stay in touch, sign up for the newsletter, and that way I can be in touch with you on an ongoing basis and coach you and help you help bring your campaign to fruition, and help you to make things happen. So again, I'm Mike Hayes from Startups in Action and Crowd Success TV. Go through, email me, stay in touch. I'd love to help, and I want to make the best use of your time. So thanks for joining me. I'll let you go, and I look forward to being in touch real soon. Bye-bye.